in the sun and rain. My life celebrates. You take it again. With a cry of praise, my heart will proclaim. You take it. In the sun and rain, my life celebrates. You are good. You are good. And I'll sing 'cause you are good. Good to me, and I'll sing because you are good, and I'll dance because you are good, and I'll shout because you are good to me, and I'll sing because you are good, and I'll dance because you are good, and I'll shout because you are good to me, and I'll sing. You are good and I'll dance because you are good and I'll shout because you are good to me, yeah. Like a fire, like a flood, like a wind, like a dove, would you come like you have before? Oh, Spirit of the living God, come and fall afresh on us. We know that there's always more. Like a fire, like a flood, like a wind, like a dove, would you come like you have before? Oh, Spirit of the living God, come and fall afresh on us. We know there's always more.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Vineyard. We're actually surrounded by lots of vineyards, but this is probably the only one that has some singing and praying and things like that today. But if you go on to, this is kind of our Easter egg. If you know what an Easter egg is, it's kind of like our hidden feature online. If you go and you look up Google reviews for Upper Valley Vineyard, somebody commented on our nice wines and sunsets here. I think they meant a different vineyard, but...
And we leave it there. We like that review.
Yeah, we like that. So we decided not to correct it and just leave it out there because it looks pretty cool. They gave us 5 stars too, so... such an honor to get to worship with you today. And so we're going to do that and share a little bit about our journey over the past week and a half or so, and really over the history of this church and beyond. It's going to be good. So, Holy Spirit, we invite you. Would you come and fill this place? Pour out your presence. You and you alone are worthy of our worship and our praise, and we pour it out this morning. Come. You know what each one of us needs, and you are the only one who can truly meet the needs that we have today. We say yes to you, however it is that you want to move, however it is that you want to work. We say yes to you. Thank you, Lord.
Shout aloud to our King. Come, let us worship God, lifting holy hands, bless His name. Worship with one voice in adoration, 'cause you deserve our every praise that echoes in this place. You're the worthy one. Come, let us sing for joy. Let us shout aloud to our King. Come, let us worship God, lifting holy hands, bless His name. Lord, we come with gratitude that flows deep within our souls. We rejoice in you, and we
creature, heaven and earth below. Bless his name. Bless his name. Let every creature, heaven and earth below, bless his name. Bless his name. Let every creature, heaven and earth below, bless his name. Bless his name. Let every creature, heaven and earth below, bless his name. Bless his name. Come, let us sing for joy. Let us shout aloud to our King. Come, let us worship God, lifting holy hands. Bless his name. Lord, we come to bless your name. We bless your name. We bless your holy name. Lord, we come to bless your name. We bless your name. We bless your holy name. Every creature, heaven and earth below, bless his name. Bless his name. Let every creature, heaven and earth below, bless his name. Bless his name. We bless your name. We bless your name. We bless your holy name. We bless your name. We bless your name. We bless your holy name.
Generous God, giver of life, and every good and perfect gift. With arms open wide, we come to receive from you, 'cause we know that you are generous God, giver of life, and every good and perfect gift. With arms open wide, we come to receive from you, 'cause we know that you do. and every good and perfect gift. With arms open wide, we come to receive from you, 'cause we know that you are generous, generous God, giver of life, and every good and perfect gift. With arms open wide, we come to receive from you, 'cause we know that you do exceedingly so much more than we could ask, believe, or imagine. For you are generous with your lavish love, pour it out on us unending. You do exceedingly so much more than we could ask, believe, or imagine. For you are generous with your lavish love, pour it out on us unending. Pour it out on us.
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 Pour it out on us. You do exceedingly so much more than we could ask, believe, or imagine. For you are generous with your lavish love, pour it out on us unending. You do exceedingly so much more than we could ask, believe, or imagine. For you are generous with your lavish love, pour it out on us unending. You'll do exceedingly so much more than we could ask, believe, or imagine. You are generous with your lavish love, pour it out on us unending. Pour it out on us.
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 Pour it out on us. Let your kingdom come among us. Let your glory show your goodness here on earth, God, as in heaven. There is power in your presence. Let your kingdom come. And your will be done. Let your kingdom come, and your will be done.
nosotros, Señor, muestra tu bondad en el cielo y en la tierra. Hay poder en tu presencia, que venga tu reino, haz tu voluntad, que venga tu reino, haz tu voluntad. Bienvenido tu reino. Bienvenido tu reino. Bienvenido tu majestad. Bienvenido tu gloria, para ser derramada aquí. We welcome your kingdom. We welcome your rule and your reign. We welcome your power to come and be put on display. Let your kingdom come, and your will be done. Let your kingdom come, and your will be done. Bienvenido. Bienvenido tu reino. Bienvenida tu majestad. Bienvenido tu gloria, para ser derramada aquí. Que venga tu reino, haz tu voluntad. Que venga tu reino, haz tu voluntad.
Yes, Lord, let your kingdom come. Thank you, God, that we're not just waiting for your kingdom to come someday, but that your kingdom is breaking in here and now, in this moment, Lord. And this morning, we're going to take communion together. We have a cup with juice and some crackers up front, so you can begin to make your way whenever you're ready and go ahead and grab those elements. And there is no requirement here at Upper Valley Vineyard other than to have given your life to Jesus. And as we do this together, even if this is something that you've been doing for years, we're once again saying, Jesus, we want to follow you. Jesus, we remember your sacrifice this morning. You asked us to do this, to remember your suffering, to remember how much you love us. And this is our act of surrender to you today, Lord. once I see that everyone has kind of found their place again, then I'll go ahead and we can take the bread and the juice together. Jesus, we remember your body that was broken for us. And we remember your blood that was poured out for us. And we say yes to you, to following you, Lord, as we take this and eat together. Go ahead and take and eat.
Hear my prayer of consecration. Have my heart again. All of me upon the altar, mind and soul and strength. Light the fire that I remember, burn within my soul. Rekindle these fading embers, holy flame of love. Spirit, breathe upon this altar. Father, have my undivided heart. Jesus, I surrender. All I want is to be set apart for you. In the shelter of your mercy, I lay down my life. Every breath to offer up a living sacrifice. Spirit, breathe upon this altar. Father, have my undivided heart. Jesus, I surrender. All I want is to be set Spirit, breathe upon this altar. Father, have my undivided heart. Jesus, I surrender. All I want is to be set apart for you. For you. My life is in your hands.
Trust you, Lord.
Only you are worthy.
Have your way.
No one else is worthy, Lord. Only you.
Yes.
And so we come before you today and ask that you would do the very thing that we have sung, that you would consecrate us, that you would set us apart for you, that you would indeed refine us. That you would do your work in us until we're purified like gold. Come and have your way. Move in our midst. Rest on us, Lord. Do your work in us. Make us more like you. Thank you, Lord. Well, it's very nice to be back with you today. Some of my family and we embarked on a journey a long time ago, it feels like now. It was like just over a week ago, and we got in our car and we drove to North Carolina. On our way there, we passed through Georgia and visited our oldest kids and grandkids, and I was a little sad when I got there because the weather forecast said something I had not really quite heard before, and they don't usually say about a place like El Paso. They said the weather was going to be hot and steamy. And that just did not compute. I can't understand how weather can be hot and steamy. But it was hot and steamy. And then I thought, well, at least there's hot weather in El Paso that we're missing, and when we get back, it'll be nice and cool in August, right? But no, El Paso just doesn't cooperate like that, and so I think it's supposed to be like 110 today or something, 111. But not here. See, this is why we love the valley, because here, on a day like today, it's just hot and misty, not quite steamy, but there's moisture here in the valley. There's irrigation. As you drive around here, you can see all the canals filled with water from the Rio Grande. It smells a little fishy, but it makes everything grow. It's nice, but it usually doesn't get quite that hot. It's usually about 10 degrees cooler here in the valley, so that's kind of nice. But I sure was hoping that all the hot weather would be done with before we headed back. We were at the Vineyard National Conference, and originally that was going to take place in Colorado in a place called Estes Park, which would have been nice. There's some altitude. It's probably not 100 degrees and hot and steamy there. But they couldn't quite accommodate us there, and so plans changed, and we ended up in North Carolina with a lot of our Vineyard family, not just from around the United States, but from around the world. We got to have the directors of the Vineyard. There's so every country that has Vineyard churches, I think there's a certain number of churches that you would have and you'd want to have. What we have in the U.S., we have an association of Vineyard churches called Vineyard USA. There's also Vineyard UK in Ireland. There's Vineyard in Nepal. There's actually a Vineyard association. And in different countries there are. And then John and Eleanor Mumford, who at one time were the directors for the Vineyard UK Ireland, they actually kind of help lead the Vineyard churches worldwide. And that might sound a little weird. It's not weird, actually. They're just really sharing and continuing to bless and pour out into us. And they actually served like our youth and our kids and did stuff with them, which was just really awesome. You know, sometimes you think, you know, you bring in the big keynote speakers and you get to hear them at a conference, and then they come in and you don't even see them because they're like pouring into our kids. And it's something that speaks a lot to us. Lorian and I actually got to do some of that. A few sessions we got to volunteer, and we got to do something that we actually love doing, which is holding babies. They were crying babies for part of the time, but we got to hold some babies while their parents got to go to workshops and different things. And really cool part is that we got to give them back. So we got to come home without a bunch of extra babies. We love babies, but I think our time for having babies full time is past. So we just actually got back yesterday, and we had some firsts on this trip. We actually, as we were driving, there's a town in West Texas. We're actually in West Texas here, but it turns out Texas is so big that West Texas stretches for miles. So we were approaching the Odessa Midland area, which is about 300 miles or so from here. And as we were driving, one of our windows in our car shattered. I mean, just out of nowhere, I think an equipment haul or something, maybe a pebble or something. It wasn't like some major event and it was clear what happened. All I know is my very calm daughter, Madeline, was sitting right next to that window, and she said, "Oh." When she says something like that, I take note. And I looked, and the window was just starting to crumble right next to her, and hot air is starting to blow in our car. And so we pulled off, and we cleared all that glass out. But we really felt the Lord's provision. I know it's like, how did you feel the Lord's provision with a broken window? But that could have happened like in the middle of nowhere. And if you've ever driven through West Texas, there's a lot of nowhere in West Texas. But we were like, I think it was another 15 minutes to Odessa. And so we called a glass shop there, and they were able to get the glass in from Ford. We drive a Ford. Pretty sure that's what Jesus drives. And no, maybe. I think so. And so they put the same glass in so it actually looks like it belongs, like the window looks like it belongs. And they were able to get us an appointment, get us in and out of there, and we still made it to the other side of Texas by Thursday night, which was our hope. So that was really cool. We got to spend a great time with our kids in Georgia, and we got to, of course, we'll talk a little bit about our experience at the conference. But then on our way back yesterday, if you have a car that it's a little smarter, at least that's what they tell you, it may be like, okay, so most cars have like a fuel gauge that tells you like as the gas is running out, and you sort of figure out, okay, I need to start looking for a gas station. And now that you have GPS, so it tells you like where the gas stations are, and so you figure it all out. So we left from Abilene with a full tank of gas, some Starbucks in hand, some fuel just to get us along the way. And I see how many miles till empty. It's telling us this, like a readout. It says however many miles, like 367 miles till empty. I'm like, okay, well, that will get us to the glorious town of Van Horn. And we'll gas up there, and then that'll be our last stop, and we'll make it home. And so we're just driving along down the road, having a great time. Kids are like playing games or napping or watching, I don't know, movies they've downloaded. And all of a sudden I glance up, and at the moment, like, I don't glance at my instrument cluster like hard, but I just am doing my sweep. And as I'm doing my sweep, I watch the needle go from 1/8 of a tank to empty. And I watch the display that tells me I've got 60 miles left or something, go to 0. Like instantly. I don't know if you've ever had that happen before. I look at Lori and I tell her, I don't know what's wrong with this thing, but maybe there's something wrong with the wiring or something. It's just confused. I'm hoping that's what it is, because we're still running, we're still driving. But I immediately realize, but if this is real, there's no way we're making it to Van Horn. And again, we're in West Texas, in the middle of nowhere. Again, we've gotten back onto Interstate 10 at this point, so we feel like close to home, but also not close to a gas station. And if we stop right now, this is going to be very uncomfortable, to say the least, because it was like hot again. It wasn't hot in North Carolina. And in Georgia, it was like, they said hot and steamy, but it was like in the 90s. This is like 110 in the middle of nowhere, with a car, with kids that are ready to get home and get out of the car, And so I'm just kind of praying and hoping, God, please, don't let us run out of gas here in the middle of the interstate. So I quickly go onto my phone and I look for what's the nearest gas station, any gas station, whatever they charge. You know how sometimes you are like, no, I'm not gonna go to that gas station because I'm gonna save the 10 cents and go to the next one. You don't care anymore. You're like, charge me double. Charge me $10 a gallon. I don't care what it is. I'll pay you whatever you want. Just please let there be a gas station. And I pull it up and it's like, okay, there's a gas station 15 miles away. And I'm like, but this says 0. It doesn't say 15. I'm not gonna make it. And so I'm confident at this point I'm going to run out of gas. And I'm fairly fit, but I don't want to jog 10 miles to a gas station to go pick up a gas can and then jog back with it. I mean, I don't know how long that was going to take, but it's going to take a really long time. So we're driving along, and all of a sudden, the moment comes where the tachometer just goes, and it goes down, and the steering gets tight, and the brake pedal's not working, and the lights come on telling you your engine's not running. That almost never happens to me. I can think of maybe one other time in my whole life since I've been driving that's happened to me. I think I was a teenager then, which maybe seems a little more common that you'd run out of gas. And so we're coasting, and then all of a sudden the road we're going downhill just a little bit. So we roll, and I'm just praying, God, let us get to this gas station. And I'm looking, it's 1.5 miles away. And I'm like, that's a long time to roll. That is a really long time to roll. But we're just going slightly downhill, and we're staying like above 50. I've got my hazard lights on, and we're driving, and we get to the ramp, and we pull off, and there's an Exxon station. And I steer, and if your car's ever died, you know how power steering gets tight. A lot of you are like, you totally are tracking with me here. And I just, I try not to slow down because I know once I stop, I can't move again. So if you can imagine, we're just this Ford Flex flying into the gas station parking lot. Yeah, there may have been a stop sign that I ran. I'm sorry. There wasn't. There wasn't a stop sign. My GPS told me there was supposed to be a stop sign at this intersection, but the Lord must have removed it before I got there. Somebody else maybe ran over it. Anyways, we pull into the gas station. It's a bumpy entrance, and I'm trying not to frighten people, but I'm like, I got to make it to the pump. And we just roll right next to the pump. And then the pump doesn't work. I'm trying to put my card in the pump, and it's not taking it. I'm like, please tell me this gas station's open and that they work. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, I don't see a lot of people here. Is this place even open? But thankfully, the doors open. We went in. They took my payment inside, and we were able to gas up and make it home. It's funny, moments like that kind of bring out whatever it is that you have. Your best, your worst, sometimes some colorful language, sometimes some just stressful thoughts. When you get stressed out, people often say, whenever you get squeezed, whatever's on the inside kind of comes out. I don't really like to judge people based on the most stressful moments, because hopefully that's not how we're usually living. Hopefully that's not the norm. But stressful moments really have a way of bringing some things out. For me, I just found myself just so grateful that happened, that we were able to roll into that gas station. We didn't get stranded somewhere on the roadside. And it's moments like that, some people would say, well, that was just a coincidence. But I just really experienced and felt the Lord's provision in that moment. And even if it was just a coincidence, what I have found is that my life tends to be so much more peaceful. I tend to be so much of a better person when I can just express gratitude and be thankful for those moments, regardless of why or how they happened. But I really trust God was just looking out for us on our way out when that window broke, and then on our way back, just running out of gas. So grateful. And we really, I think, drove way more on fumes than you should be able to. So, and now we're back. And it's really good to be back. We got back before 10, which was nice. So I got a little nap in before I woke up and watched a soccer game on TV. Did anybody know there was a soccer match on TV this morning? Yes, Ellie, you knew, huh? I was trying to be very quiet because it came on at 3 a.m. And I actually slept through. I think my alarm must play a song and it's missing, so it just played silence for an hour or so. But then I woke up and I was like, did I miss the match? And no, I didn't. The women's national team was in the World Cup, and they played Sweden this morning. It's a heartbreaker of a match, and by me saying that, you can tell what happened. But I was watching, and I was trying to cheer, and the women really looked like they were dominating. They took 22 shots, and I think 11 of them were on goal, compared to Sweden's I think two or three shots on goal, and possessed the ball 60% of the time or more. they just looked really good, and they just couldn't score. Sweden's goalkeeper was amazing, and it went into extra time, and couldn't win in extra time, and then it went into penalties, which is quite the nail biter. And it came down to a razor's edge. Our goalkeeper stopped a shot, and then it kept rolling backwards, and she jumped back and grabbed it to save it. Just in time is what it looked like. And they have this thing called VAR. It's like a video assistant referee, and it could track everything. And if you watch that, some of you who are into soccer, go back and watch that. It's like you could slide not 2 sheets of paper in between the goal line and the ball, but just one. I mean, that's how close it was. So it's amazing. And now we're here. Upper Valley Vineyard on a Sunday morning. So I don't have many announcements this morning, but kids, if you have kids here, if you are a kid and you're hearing this and you need a little bit of break from the room or someplace to sit quietly or privately, we have our sunroom, which is through the kitchen, and this there's the camera and the microphone that's actually going to there too, so feel free to sit in there if you need to. There's a couch in there and air conditioning, and that space is set up for you to use and take advantage of, and as it is most Sundays. But other than that, kids, you're welcome to stay in here, and we love kids here. We love hearing kids. Kids make messes, and it's noisy, and we're good with that, so don't feel any pressure to try to stay quiet. And adults, too, you can also make noise and messes, and that's fine. So I do want to announce that we have something that we've been planning for the past few months, and really we've been wanting to do this for a really long time. One of the first things we said when we got to move into this building was we would love to get together with our friends around the city and have an evening of worship. And not just to do it once, but to do it many times. And so our first one that we have is coming up. It's going to be on September 8th, which is a Friday. And it's going to be from 6 to 9 is when the doors will be open. There'll be refreshments. There'll be a time to just come in to worship. And some of our friends will be joining us and helping our friends at New Wine will be coming and joining with us. And really, all are welcome, all are invited. So that's Friday, September 8th, 6 to 9. There'll be a chance to hang out, get to meet other people, get some prayer if you want. And that's it. That's all I have to announce. If you have a Bible app, a copy of the Bible, or if you don't, it'll be here on the screens too. Would you turn to Ephesians chapter 3, or navigate to chapter 3 of Ephesians? And we're going to read, we actually sang a little bit about this morning. It's going to be Ephesians 3, verse 20. And we can go ahead and put that up now. Now, all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us to accomplish infinitely more than we might ask or think. Like we sang this morning, more than we could imagine. Our conference this past week started off on Monday evening with what I thought was a very profound message, and some of you were able to make it and join us for our watch party here. Our building was open, and that session was played. You can also get to replay many of the sessions from the conference. Vineyard USA has a YouTube channel, and you can go there. If you can't find it, let us know, and we'll help you find it. And I think we can probably share some links on our Facebook page. But so some of this you may have heard and may have caught, but this is something that really stood out to me. I remember when I first got the dream to plant a church. I was probably 15 years old, and I started just getting pictures of what if there was a church that looked like this and did this and had this. And in my mind, I could picture just all sorts of stuff like a teenager could. You know, as you get a little bit older, sometimes the dreams become a little bit less dreams. They become tempered by reality because you've experienced enough of life that you start to think, well, I know what's possible. And so maybe the dream starts to change a little bit. And maybe you start trying to craft it to make it look a little more doable, a little more possible. Because it's really frustrating, it's really hard to dream of something really big that you can't do and that you never get to see happen. And as you get older, you might start thinking, well, but this is what could happen. And so you start to maybe, take that dream and maybe turn it down a few notches so that you can find something that you can do, something that'll work. One of the things that I was reminded of this week is that it's not really a dream the Lord has given me if I can do it without Him. But I know it's a dream that the Lord has given me when there's no way I could possibly do it without Him. And I want to encourage us as I look around this room, and since we've been in this building, this church is growing. And there are people that we're not so tucked away. I mean, we kind of are, but like we're next to a main highway, and for whatever reason, for one reason or another, people are coming here, and then more people are coming, and I'm seeing more and more new faces every week. And that's really exciting. I would want to encourage all of us that are here to really think about what is the dream that God has given you. And then here's something really interesting, because I can tell you that what my dream is not and has never been is to create this space where we could come together and be protected from whatever's happening out there. Where we could come together and enjoy God and be in His presence and enjoy all the signs and the wonders that accompany when the Holy Spirit is with us. That's not the dream. The dream has always been in planting a church and starting Upper Valley Vineyard to reach people, to reach the lost. Planting a church, it turns out, has been and continues to be the most effective form of evangelism, of reaching people with the good news. And so you might find yourself saying, but we do most of our stuff when we gather as Upper Valley Vineyard in here. And we put a lot of emphasis on creating a space and to gather and to worship and making it look nice. We try to make it look nice and feel nice. There was a time where the dream that I had would be when we celebrate with the other vineyards around us, all the stuff that God was doing in our city. And today, Upper Valley Vineyard is the only vineyard in El Paso. And I'm not saying this as an indictment. I'm not saying this as judgment or as anything. I've been part of all of the other vineyards that we've had around us and have served and loved people and seen great things happen. But one thing that we committed to at the very beginning of our church plant, and with the help of some really great mentors and coaches, is we committed to making sure that we were going to go the distance. Like the verse that Paul talks about, like running as though to win the race. Sometimes we get really tempted to want to run out as fast as we can, as hard as we can, and do as much as we can. And then we flame out, we fizzle out, and we don't make it to the end. And a big part of what we've been talking about this year, we've talked about our big 3 areas of focus. A lot of what we've been doing is really working to get empowered and equipped to serve in whatever ways the Lord is leading us. And sometimes it feels like, well, come on then already, let's go do all this stuff. All the stuff that we read about in the Bible, all the stuff that we read that Jesus did. We want to do that stuff, and we do. And there's been a lot of encouragement in going out and doing the stuff. We talk a lot about doing it in your spheres, in your lives. Like when you leave this place, we say that's like where the rubber meets the road, right? That's where you really get to take Jesus out for a spin, and you get to see what's going to happen, and you get to talk to people about him and what he's done in your life. You get to pray for people. You get to heal the sick. You get to cast out demons and raise the dead and all the stuff. You know, we sometimes kind of want to avoid some of the things. Well, Jesus did some of those things. I don't know about those. These I like when he sat with the woman at the well. I like that one. That I could do that. But I don't know about the casting demons part out. But I think that what often happens is we start to get a little confused. And so I want to help maybe bring some clarity to this. We haven't changed what we want to do to exclude the signs and the wonders of the kingdom that, to me, really become the fuel for how we reach our city for the Lord, how we make an eternal difference. But we don't want to do it without being healthy. And one of the things that we're discovering more and more as we see a lot of the people that have been involved in church and in leadership and in Christianity and going out and trying to just live out our faith is that over the years, if there's something not healthy that's taken root, if we haven't been healthy, then that stuff eventually comes to the surface. That stuff eventually comes out. If you followed kind of the church worldwide and especially in the U.S., how many stories have you heard just in the past year of pastors that are no longer pastoring their churches, pastors that are being removed because they've had an affair or other improprieties or other inappropriate things, or stealing money from the church? I mean, we've been around. We've had friends for many years that we've stood alongside with that aren't around anymore. And that's not for us to say, look at us and look at the great job we've done. But it is to say that we have stuck with our commitment to be healthy, and we want to be a healthy church that's here long after we're gone. And so I'm going to invite Lorian to share a little bit about that, just about why health and being healthy is so important to us, and how we're going to do that. Because we do want to be part of that dream that's so much bigger than we could ever ask or believe or imagine. And we want to see how the Lord is going to move. And we want to say yes to things that are going to absolutely require that he show up and do something. So I'm going to hand this over to Lorian so we can hear a bit more about this.
I have way too much to share, Donnie, so you're just going to have to let me talk a little bit next week, I think. But I will just give you guys something to chew on and think on for this week. Alana, I sent you a scripture. If you could put that up for us. This past week at the conference, it was really good for me personally. And I am still looking at and working through some of what God has been doing in me. But I will tell you, it was very deep work and very slow work. And it is because of God's grace and mercy on me that he moves so slowly. Sometimes I want fast healing, and I want things to be made new and be made right now. And God has shown me over the years in his compassion that he is willing to go as slowly as is necessary for me to be healthy and to be whole. And I have had this picture in my mind, and it's a picture of ground that is beginning to break, dry ground that is cracking and opening up. And I think that that is where Upper Valley Vineyard is right now. And I have been researching tap roots. So one thing that I would like all of you to do this week is to go and look up what a tap root is, because I'm going to talk about that a little bit more next time. And you can go ahead and put that verse up, Alana. It says, "And now, just as you accepted Christ Jesus as your Lord, you must continue to follow him. Let your roots grow down into him, and let your lives be built on him. Then your faith will grow strong in the truth you were taught, and you will overflow with thankfulness." And I think that's what God has for us. He's saying, grow your roots down deep. And he's saying, be filled with thankfulness. Be encouraged. Some of the translations of these verses say, be full of encouragement. And I think that's what he's calling us to do as a church, is to be encouragers. So I will share some more next week on all of that, even as I process for myself all that God has been doing in me. I am just so grateful this morning, so full of gratitude for not just what we get to be a part of in the vineyard, but what that looks like for us locally. It is beautiful. And I believe that God has a very specific calling for us here, and that he's got this. He really does. And we get to participate in that. Our responsibility is to just hold steady, to stay in the room, to be willing to go deep, and to be willing to be uncomfortable. So this week, meditate on those verses. What was the verse? Colossians chapter 2, 6 through 7. Just chew on that a little bit this week. Maybe just read it in a few different translations, and we'll look at that some more next Sunday. Also wanted to mention that we got some more of our giveaway bags put together. So on your way out today, if you want to grab one, there's a box on the table right in our little foyer there.